Hey, it's Dan, and welcome to Unified Gaming. So in this episode of Trash or Grab, we're going to look at the golden vendor and check are the items absolute trash, or are they worth grabbing. We'll then touch upon the Infinite Archive and the other vendors to see are there any good scripts to get with Gold Road, or any good leads for the Antiquity system. As with this one, it is worth noting that the vendors do change week on week, and this is recorded on the 15th of June, so if you are watching this in the future, it will be different. As for the golden vendor, you can locate her in Cyrodiil. She is found in your home bases, so if you are on DC, that is up here in the Northern High Rock Gate. If you are on AD, she's located down in the Western Elsewhere Gate, and if you're on EP, she's located in the Southern Morrowind Gate, just over here. As with this video and this series, if you do like it, then do like, comment, share, and more importantly, subscribe to stay up to date with future videos. And as always, I just want to say a massive thank you to everybody who supports on YouTube membership or Patreon. They get exclusive content, early access, and much more. There's details down below. With this one though, what is she selling this week? The first item she has is Unleashed Ritualist. This is a necklace and it's bind on pickup. That means you cannot trade this. So I'm always kind of a bit more hopeful of these per se because it saves having to do dungeons. That said, is it any good? For PvP, it's bad. Dealing damage to an enemy applies Ritualist Mark to them. Enemies take 16% additional damage from summoned pets, and it's your pets. If this was from 16% damage from anybody's pet, it wouldn't be terrible, but as it's only your pet, you can run 2 on Assault Sorcerer plus a set like Infernal Maw. You're getting 3 or 4 at most, so this is a really bad set for PvP. I would avoid this at all costs. PvE wise, it's not terrible, it's okay on Sorcerer DPS, but in all honesty, you're going to run other sets anyway. You know, you've got trial sets that are significantly stronger. For pet builds, it's not awful, but I would skip this. The second set we have is the Void Caller set. This is a bind on equip. That means you can buy this from other players, so that is always worth noting. When you take damage, your weapon and spell damage is increased by 24 for 5 seconds up to 20 times. This can occur every once half second. Upon 20 stacks, it doubles and can't be refreshed. If you've played the game for a long time, this is Warrior's Fury, but the Magicka version. It's an okay set. In the past, it used to be phenomenally good, the Warrior's Fury version of this, which is heavy armor. This is light armor, which is a big negative. And in all honesty, there are better sets now. If you're on an Arcanist, you'd run something like Ravager, significantly stronger. If you're on any other damage build, you'd probably just run Shattered Fate because it's actually more damage. So I would skip this unless you're really set on trying to play this, get low health, do damage playstyle, but it's not worth it in my opinion. So this is like big skip for me. And for PvE, this is just no. You wouldn't use this. The next set we have is Necklace of Stendar. When you heal yourself or an ally, you remove all negative effects from them. It has a 30-second cooldown per target. This is an okay set, ironically. For PvP, as a healer, it's not awful. You can back bar this and in front bar a restoration staff like the Master's one or the Maelstrom one. So you can use a special weapon with this on the back bar. It's a free purge, and it's a purge for you and your allies. The big downside, obviously, is that 30-second cooldown. That is huge, but it removes all effects. So it might be that when you go into combat, you don't use your back bar for quite some time, and then about 10-15 seconds in, then you use it to get rid of all the debuffs the person would have put on them. But I would only use this on a healer. Damage builds is awful. Tanks, it's not great. PvE wise, similar story. It's kind of niche, it's fun, but there are better sets, and that cooldown is the big problem. So again, I would say, avoid this, and it's bind on equip. You can buy this from other players. So PvP, no. PvE, no. The next one we have is Netch's Touch. This is a dungeon set. It's quite an easy dungeon though, so I wouldn't factor that into your decision too much. And it adds 400 weapon and spell damage to your shock abilities. This is quite a cool set for Sorcerer. I used to run this loads back in the day when Sorcerer was primarily magic damage and you couldn't transmute things. Nowadays, coming into 2024, PvP, awful. Just don't get this. It's really bad for PvP. PvE is not great. There are better sets. So I would say skip this unless you want to just try a more fun thematic build. Then this might be worth doing. If you're trying to make like kind of like a Thor lightning build with a sorcerer and use scribing to get more shock skills, possibly, but you're going very niche at that point, and it's not going to be great DPS. So this would be a pass as well. As for the monster pieces, we have shoulders this week, and my big tip is if it's a shoulder, really consider getting it, because shoulders means dungeons, which means keys, which means farming, which means time. And as a PvP player, mainly, I don't have much time. PvP takes a lot of time, believe it or not, so I would recommend looking at these more than you would normally. When you apply damage shield to yourself or an ally, you have a 50% chance to lob 3 mortars over 2 seconds, and they do damage. It has a 6-second cooldown. This is a fun set. In PvP, it's not the most damage in all honesty, but it's pretty fun. And what's quite cool with this set is that as a sorcerer, you can use this a lot. So when you're being defensive, you're actually doing damage to the other person, and it's an AoE. Now, it's more kind of terrifying than actually effective. So if you see somebody use this, you're not going to be going out of your way to move away from it. It doesn't do enough damage. But it's quite intimidating that if you see it, you go, oh my goodness, I probably should do something. And for PvP, if you're fighting newer players, that's where this shines. So it's really good in Battlegrounds, really good against newer players in Cyrodiil. BG sits its shine in place. Sorcerer is good. That's kind of about it, really. I would recommend, just because I don't have it, I'm going to buy these and I'm going to use my gold because I want to keep my AP, just because I don't want to be wasting this, because you can get impenetrates. So we're going to get the one here and just buying that, and also get this one here. The second shoulder piece we have is Veladrith. Veladrith is a really cool set. It hits hard, but it's very inconsistent. So you really have to go with that high risk, high reward. Are there better damage monster sets for PvP? Yes. Masterlock is significantly better. It's easier to proc, it's more damage. This is more bursty. There are better sets like Selene's, but this is a good set to consider. It is a dungeon DLC too, so it can be a bit awkward to farm. But as its shoulders, again, I would recommend just buying it simply because you don't have to do the dungeon, and its shoulders, and you can save keys. So that's what I would recommend. I'm going to buy this one here. Again, same reasons. I'm not going to use this much. PvP, you might use this on a Nightblade mainly, and then if you do get the proc, it's free damage. If you don't, you don't. If you're in PvE, it's not a bad set. You've got things like Zarn and Melee, which hits harder, so yeah. So that's the golden for this week. We're now going to go to the Infinite Archive, look at the scripts there, and are there any leads? And with this series, if you do like kind of what I do and cover the sets and the items and what's good for PvP, PvE, then do give a sub. It really helps. As for the Infinite Archive, it's located in Apocrypha, and it's over just near the north side of it. Once inside, we're going to be looking for the vendor, Filer All. Filer All is a vendor who goes and sells different things. He appears Tuesday to Tuesday, but we check on the weekend in one video to save you watching loads of things. And this week he has the following things. He has some leads and he has some scripts. As of Gold Road, there are now scripts in the store which are really worth considering. For the leads, we have the following. We have the Ritual Circlet lead. This is for the Gaze of Sithis helmet. This drops from the Cradle Shadow's last boss. If you don't have this mythic, so I'm just going to show you quickly what the mythic is, because I do have this already. The Gaze of Sithis helmet, it reduces your block to 0, but you get 4,000 armor, 1,000 health recovery, and 3,000 health. It's a really good defensive mythic. It's obviously a monster piece slot, so that's the only downside with this, but it is really worth considering. So, like, with that in mind, I would probably get this if I didn't have this mythic, just because it's a dungeon, it's quite an annoying dungeon, and it's the final boss to get the drop, so this is really worth getting. The next one is the Scalot Tentacle. I'm probably butchered that, but basically this is for the Mora's Whispers mythic. This is an interesting mythic, which I haven't got on PCEU, but I do have on PCNA. You gain up to 1500 critical chance, 10% increased inspiration, so that's craft, alliance rank, AP, skill gain, etc. and XP. This is based on how many books you have in Shadowdoor's library. This is a really weird buff, because this buff only applies when you have all of the books on one character, for that one character. So if you complete it once, it's not for the whole account, which means you have to get all of those books every single time you want to maximize this mythic's power, which makes this really awkward. That said, it's very, very good for the just crit chance. That crit chance is huge. So it's a really, really strong amount of crits. Again, it is shoulders, so it is a monster slot, so that is something to factor in. But the lead is quite awkward. To get this lead, you have to go into the Deadlands, into the Oblivion portals, and kill the Little Watchers. This takes ages. The little watchlings are easy to kill, but the drop chance is really low. So just because of how rare this is to get, I would buy this lead. It took me hours to farm it on PCNA, so I'd buy this just to save you all of that time. As with the scripts this week for Gold Road, you have Expedition, Mangle, Multi-Target, and Gladiator's Tenacity. Gladiator's Tenacity is fantastic. I use this on my Sorcerer a lot with that big shield. It's 8% damage reduction, so this is a really good one to get. Expedition is also nice, so again, I would probably buy this. Mangle, so-so. Multi-Target, so-so. You'll notice some of them are slightly more and less than others. If it's less, it's because I already know this. So because I know this already on this character, I can buy this a lot cheaper and then put it in my bank for the other characters. So that is one tip to recommend. So if this is like 15,000, it's because I don't actually know this yet on my character. So just buy it on somebody you know, then move it to the ones you don't. But I would get Expedition personally and Tenacity. They are the best two here. Mangle is worth considering, and Multi-Target's generally for this shield throw, which it's very good for niche builds, but that's about it. The final thing I want to check, which is new for this week, is also go to the Scholarium and show you what the vendor is selling there, as again, this is on a weekly rotating stock. So if you are watching this on the weekend, you better buy all three things this week, otherwise you'll have to come back next week. In the Scholarium, without doing too many spoilers, once you've completed the first quest, the Wing of the Indrik, you'll get access to the altar, and then you'll move to the right and get access to a brand new NPC. This NPC will sell scripts every week, which are worth buying, and they offer gold. It's Chronica, and he has some bits down at the bottom. This week he has Savagery and Prophecy, Disease Damage, Generate Ultimate, and Leech and Thirst. Again, you might notice these are very, very, very expensive. If we buy Leech and Thirst, for example, we are now unable to buy it again. However, if we use it, and we then go to buy it again, it's now a lot cheaper. This is cheaper for every character now, so I can now come and buy this on all of my characters, which I'd suggest doing. If you're somebody who wants to play with Scribing, this is a really good way to do these things. So I'm going to just buy these quickly. And now these are significantly cheaper. So this week we have Savagery and Prophecy, Disease Damage, Generate Ultimate, and Leech and Thirst. These are ones that are like really, really OP. The Disease is nice, the Prophecy is nice, the Ult's nice, but you're not going to use it much. And the Leech and Thirst is nice, but you're not going to use it much. These are like flavours. So I would say get them if you've got the gold, but if you don't worry. And that's it, guys. That kind of wraps it up there. If you get any questions about the scripts, let me know in the comments, or about maybe the items we showed in the Golden Vendor and how you could use them, comments as well. But I just want to say a massive thank you to everybody over in YouTube memberships who help support the video, and also on Patreon. They get early access, exclusive content, and much more. But with that said, I'm going to wrap it up here. I'll catch you in the next video on the stream, which are always on Saturdays. Until then, take care, thanks for watching, and bye!